Okay, welcome back to your asbestos training. I am Garth Haslam. We're going to continue in this segment and talk about the kinds of asbestos, because there are a number of different varieties. And it's funny because you have within a small circle you have about 8 different varieties of asbestos that are considered to be asbestos. And actually outside of that circle you have a number of other kinds of materials that are also mined, and they have similar qualities to asbestos, but they don't necessarily fit directly within the asbestos circle, so they're kind of loosely associated with asbestos, but they are not directly legally considered to be asbestos. So the 3 kinds that I would have you be aware of, first and foremost, is Chrissteele. Now that is a material that is by far the most common. It's about 95% of the use. Basically, if you're going to see that in maybe a popcorn ceiling texture or whatever, pretty good chance that you're going to have Chrissteele be that material. That is a little bit less hazardous than some of the others out there. Now inside the house, primarily you're going to see it in the popcorn ceiling texture, and you may also see it very commonly in the asbestos duct wrap. Again, that wrap usually happens when you've got homes that were built before about 1978. I have seen that stuff built in homes that were built as late as like 1985. And I think the reason for that is Grandpa moved into the basement and he had some of that asbestos tape that he'd been storing, and so he wrapped the ducts with the stuff, even though it had been banned from manufacturer use. Don't be under the assumption that this stuff can actually, that it just goes away if the home was built in 1980 or after. So that's Chrissteele. Then you've got amosite. Now it's known as the brown asbestos, and it's more dangerous. Not going to spend a lot of time on these because identifying the type of asbestos is less important than just knowing that we have asbestos. If we do, it needs to be respected, it needs to be addressed, and we're going to talk about what addressing asbestos means in a later segment. The third one is called Chrissteele. And between me and you, we don't have to be scientists, we don't have to pretend that we are. So the word looks a lot like crocodile to me, so I'm going to call it croc. It's easier to remember, and it provides kind of a visual that this type of material deserves. This is croc is a blue asbestos, and it causes more deaths than any other kind of asbestos. As a matter of fact, and again, these materials are mined, so you can imagine the coal mine where you've actually got miners that are digging into this stuff, and you've got all these millions of fibers in the air, and these guys were actually working in those conditions where the number of fibers per cubic foot might be thousands or tens of thousands or millions. I don't know what that number is, but you can imagine those kinds of conditions. For the croc miners, Chrissteele miners, fully 1/5 of those guys died from mesothelioma. So this is a nasty sort of asbestos that is a lot more dangerous than the other 2. Okay, next section we're going to talk about other health effects of asbestos.